At weight, at 154, how you think Crawford did?
You know, they are a weight class for a reason, and you need to ask him. It's different. I know in his mind he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he's very talented fighter.
Gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre.
Do we get a knockdown from Canelo, or does Bud knock down Canelo?
Nah, Canelo's not going down. You could hit Canelo with a Louisville slugger. He's just gonna smile at you.
He say gonna beat them.
The tension between Crawford and Canelo has officially hit a boiling point, and it's no longer just about the fight scheduled for September. What was supposed to be a professional build-up to one of the biggest fights in modern boxing history has taken a wild turn after an explosive brawl at an airport just to date.
Biggest fight because of everything around it, everyone around it, the fact that it might be on Netflix we're hearing as a part of a big deal with TKO.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be bigger. Even the Mayweather fight is gonna be bigger than that.
You think it does more pay-per-view buys than the Mayweather fight?
Yeah, I think so.
Crawford, who had already been making it clear that he had no respect for Canelo, took things to another level when he grabbed the Mexican superstar by the collar and shoved him during a heated argument.
I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is...
Oh, Canelo. Yeah.
Oh, Canelo. I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power.
Nobody saw this coming, at least not this soon. Sure, there's been talk. Crawford has never shied away from letting the world know he's going to take Canelo's throne. He's been vocal about his opinion that Canelo is overrated and that he's going to expose him in the ring, but putting hands on him before fight night, that's something else. Canelo never wanted to back down and looked ready to respond, but before he could, people jumped in between them. But if anybody thought this fight was just about belts and history before, they better think again. Crawford just sent the strongest message possible. He's not here to play games.
Crawford got Canelo, bro. He got to worry about the big Mexican, bro. He got to worry about Canelo Alvarez.
Your new stablemate, so give us a prediction then.
Prediction? It's boxing, though. I got Canelo stopping him. Too big, bro.
Any way you think.
I'm not going to speak for Canelo's team, but me and my father already insisted in sparring Canelo for Crawford. Like, actually sparring, because I know one thing is that they're going to their game plan is to box Canelo, and we the best boxers there is, bro. But we going to...
And let's not forget this is all happening while Canelo is in the middle of training for his fight on May 2nd against William Skull in Saudi Arabia. That fight is meant to seal his dominance at super middleweight and make him undisputed again. But now there's a distraction in the form of Crawford, who clearly isn't waiting for September to get inside Canelo's head. The timing of this fight couldn't be more interesting. Canelo should be focused on William Skull. But now after today's incident, it's hard to ignore the bigger storm brewing.
Look good in order for you won't mess up your next fight. Because if you fight this guy, you don't look good. The fans, I don't want. He's not gonna look good at winning with this guy. You gotta constantly have fights that you know and fight a guy that's gonna make you look good. The guy gotta pressure you or something. You know, this guy's running around. Crawford's not used to this kind of movement and
Weird
stuff.
fit.
Yeah. Oh.
Back in training camp, Team Crawford is already working with that same drive. His coach, Brian McIntyre, has been hyping this fight up for weeks, making it clear that they're not here just for a payment. Man, these people think we're in this for the check, Crawford told McIntyre, rejecting the idea that this fight is just about money. Crawford sees Canelo as just another obstacle in his path to showing he's the best fighter of this generation. And this fight is about legacy, not just a payday. Bomac has been feeding into that spirit too. I take nothing from Canelo, he said. But man, when Bud's locked in, it's different. This isn't about the money, but has money interests. He doesn't need this, but what he does need is to prove that he's the best. And this fight, this is the icing on the cake.
You know, I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight. You know, and he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big and he was awkward. He was really awkward. He shouldn't have fought that guy. He should have fought a guy.
Bomac is no stranger to big fights, and he knows what it takes to prepare a fighter to win on the biggest stage. He was there when Crawford dismantled Errol Spence Jr. in their undisputed welterweight fight, a fight many thought would be close, but ended up being a one-sided beatdown before that fight was even settled. Crawford had told Bomac exactly what was going to happen. I'm going to mess him up, Bo. And that's exactly what he did, dropping Spence 3 times and ending him in the 9th round. Crawford is bringing that same energy to Canelo. His attitude hasn't changed. He's not in this for A competitive fight. He's in this to prove a point. And if today's altercation at the airport tells us anything, it's that Crawford isn't waiting for fight night to start asserting his authority.
It's not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? He's special. And, you know, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. You know, Terence is freakishly strong. He can punch, he's got good crack, he can fight.
Even before this airport incident, Crawford had been sending signs that he's locked in for this fight. He's been bulking up, sharing pictures of his new frame, and proving that he's serious about moving up to weight classes. Some doubters have questioned whether he can handle Canelo's power, but Crawford isn't concerned. He's been hearing people doubt him his whole career, and he's made a habit of showing them wrong. And what about Canelo? The Mexican superstar has been relatively quiet about Crawford, focused on William Skull instead. But now after today, there's no ignoring it. Crawford made it personal, and if Canelo wasn't already taking this fight seriously, he is now. The question is whether he'll be able to keep his cool leading up to September, or if Crawford has already successfully gotten inside his head.
Easy work. I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, well, you know, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But yet and still, he want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him, I'm a threat to his legacy.
This situation isn't just about boxing anymore, it's personal, and the way Crawford is talking, he's not just trying to win. He's trying to shame Canelo. This isn't just about strategy and skill. It's about making a point. And if today's incident is any indication, we might be looking at one of the most intense personal rivalries boxing has seen in years. Bomac is already licking his chops for September, and he's not afraid to say it. I want to prove to the world again that we're the best team out there, that Terence is the best. Out there, he said. Everybody might be looking at it like it's the money, but nobody's going to beat this guy up. Watch.
Being that you obviously, again, appealing Team Crawford, can you confirm? Are we going to see that fight? Has it been made official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here first?
You understand? Yeah, it's confirmed. Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford stand up, pound for pound, the best in the world, soon to be the Superman.
There's no question now this fight has taken a whole new force. What started as a fight for history has turned into something much more heated. Canelo might have been thinking about William Skull a few days ago, but after today, he knows exactly who's ready for him in September, and if Crawford's goal was to shake things up early, he just succeeded in the biggest way possible. Sean Porter knows personally what it means to fight Terence Crawford, and he isn't hesitant to say what he thinks when asked about Crawford jumping up to weight classes to take on Canelo Alvarez. Porter didn't just say it was possible, he flat out said he can beat Canelo. That's not some wild prediction from a casual watcher, that's coming from a man who's been in the ring with but felt his power and experienced his elite skills up close. And what Porter said makes a lot of sense when you really break it down.
That's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion.
Crawford isn't just another talented fighter. According to Porter, what separates him from everyone else is his mindset. He called Crawford the most competitive man I know. That's a huge statement given Porter has shared the ring with Errol Spence Jr., Yordenis Ugas, Keith Thurman, and Kell Brook. Crawford's eyes are on another level when it comes to focus, drive, and willpower. That's why he thinks Canelo could break down over 8 or 10 rounds. Canelo is still a great fighter, but at this stage of his career, with so many tough fights behind him, Porter thinks Crawford's dogged style could wear him down.
How effective Crawford can be if he keeps moving up in weight. You know, like, you're starting to see that, you know, now he's not quite as strong. The knockout streak is over. But he can box really, really well. But Majumov pressed him the whole fight. So obviously the power wasn't getting the respect that he might have gotten when he was a little.
Shocker Stevenson saw this coming. Years ago, He isn't just saying it now because the fight is happening. He's been talking about this since 2021, right after Crawford stopped Sean Porter. Stevenson predicted that Bud would be the one to beat Canelo, and he wasn't just putting that out as a wild guess. He based it on style, skill, and Canelo's weaknesses. This was even before Bivol dominated Canelo in 2022, so Stevenson was ahead of the game.
They're two great pound-for-pound fighters, and they feel like, you know, it makes sense, and they want to fight each other. Stylistically, it's a great fight. But, you know, Canelo, he's a big dude. And I think it'd be hard for anyone to beat him at 168. But, you know, it's definitely a big money fight, and that's why...
One of the biggest reasons Stevenson is faith in Crawford is his ability to fight southpaw. He pointed out that Canelo problems with lefties, and the John Ryder fight was proof. Even though Canelo won, he didn't look great, and Ryder was able to land some good shots. That fight to Stevenson was all the proof he needed that Crawford would be a nightmare for Canelo, but then he took it even further. He said he's seen Crawford hurt heavyweight fighters in practice. If that's true, then maybe this size difference isn't as big of a deal as people think. Hassan Rahman Jr. sees it from a slightly different angle. He thinks Crawford will win, but not by knockout. Instead, he sees Bud outboxing Canelo. And what's really interesting is Rahman's view on Canelo's recent fights. He thinks Canelo has been taking softer fights, and it's made him lax. When Canelo fought Jermall Charlo, he dominated, but Rahman wasn't pleased because Charlo was a naturally smaller guy who wasn't throwing enough punches. That's not going to be the case with Crawford.
Why Jermall Charlo was running is because he didn't get Nelo's respect. Two, Nelo was boxing so well that Charlo couldn't hit him. He was trying to touch him and move back.
Rahman also pointed out that Crawford is one of the smartest fighters in the game. He knows how to move, how to control the ring, and how to take away his opponent's best weapons, and Rahman thinks Canelo has gotten a little spoiled by fighting guys who aren't willing to push him to his limits. Crawford won't be one of those guys. Joe Rogan isn't buying the Crawford is too small case either.
He weighed himself the other day, he was 185 pounds.
He just looks scrawny in the ring.
Well, he gets down.
140, 150.
Well, he just won the 154-pound title, and you know before that he was fighting at welterweight, which is 147. It's not like he doesn't have time to like thicken up a little bit. And if he's walking around at 185, that means he probably cuts a considerable amount of weight to get down to 54. But I think he's getting thicker, and
he's been watching this fight grow closely and said straight up this is the one he's most excited about. On his show, he brought up something a lot of people don't realize. Crawford recently weighed in at 185 pounds. This isn't a small guy anymore. And it's not like Crawford has to fight at 168 instantly. He has time to build up properly.
Based on last fight is a 50-50. So Canelo fights an undisputed champ, up-and-coming former champion, and an up-and-coming undefeated contender. And somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50 fight? Wow.
One of the biggest concerns fans have is the past hasn't been kind to fighters making this kind of jump. They remember when Kell Brook went up to fight Gennady Golovkin, or when Mikey Garcia moved up to fight Errol Spence Jr. Both guys were crushed. But Paulie Malignaggi doesn't think this fight fits that pattern. Malignaggi pointed to a historical case, Roberto Duran versus Iran Barkley in 1989.
I think that's weird, you know, because you'd have to gain like, what, 20 pounds? Yeah. But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense to Terence Crawford.
Well, you know, I mean, catch weight. You can do something at a catch weight.
What weight you think?
I like 160.
Duran was a former lightweight champion who moved up to middleweight to face Barkley, a naturally much bigger man, and yet Duran pulled off a split decision win, showing that sometimes skill beats size. Malignaggi thinks Crawford is the more complete fighter, and the only thing working against him is Canelo's natural size advantage.
Happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better.
What does the man who actually beat Canelo have to say? Dmitry Bivol, the WBA light heavyweight champion, who outclassed Canelo in 2022, thinks Crawford has a real shot. But to Bivol, it's not just about power and size, it's about attitude. Bivol talked about how fighters mentally prepare for big fights. If a fighter isn't ready for the challenge, if they go in doubting themselves, their body won't react the way it should. He pointed out that Crawford's ability to switch stances and fight from multiple angles is a big advantage, but more importantly, he stressed that Crawford's mindset is what will matter most. If Crawford thinks he can win and he prepares the right way, Bivol sees a path to victory.
I think a lot of Canelo fans, for some reason, they know that there's no excuse. If he loses to Bud, this is a huge mark on his resume. If he beats Bud, he does beat a very accomplished fighter in his era. But there's no ready-made excuses in this fight for Canelo. Canelo should win this fight. And Canelo hasn't been in a fight that, you know, there's no excuses. As far as a big fight, there's no excuses. He can't look as, I was daring to be great. No, this is a fight that, on paper, Canelo should win. Even if Canelo doesn't look convincing, like in a win, that might be a mark on the fight itself.
At the same time, Bivol also noticed that Canelo looked much stronger against Charlo and Callum Smith, but he wasn't necessarily stronger because of weight. He was stronger because those guys didn't believe they could win. That won't be the case with Crawford. The biggest factor in this fight might not be size, weight, or power. It might be attitude. Crawford has made it clear that this fight is personal. After the altercation at the airport, it's obvious that this isn't just another payday for him. He's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, ready to show that he's the best fighter in the world, no matter the weight class. Canelo, on the other hand, has nothing left to show. He's beaten winners at 154, 160, 168, and 175 pounds. He's already a star, but does he still have that hunger? That's the question people are asking. And if Canelo underestimates Crawford even slightly, he could be in for a long night.
Let me tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember?
Every fighter and analyst who has weighed in on this fight brings a different viewpoint. Porter comments on Crawford's competitiveness. Stevenson shows his southpaw skills and power. Rahman points out Canelo's laziness. Rogan dismisses the size worries. Malik Nagy sees a historical link with Duran. Bivol emphasizes mindset. But they all agree on one thing. This fight isn't as easy as Canelo is bigger, so he wins. Crawford has always been counted out, and every time he proves people wrong. If he does it again against Canelo, this might go down as one of the best wins in boxing history.
Now it seems like a done deal. What's your reaction to this?
It's a good fight. You know, it's a good fight for both of them. Good fight for, I think it's more important for Crawford than anybody, you know, but I think if anybody could beat Canelo, I think Crawford could. I think it just, you know, the size plays a massive difference. But, you know, like I said, it's a good fight. You know, I have no bad feelings for that fight. It's a good fight.
There's no part of you that's like, come on.
However, others like Teddy Atlas already see it differently. Speaking to the Ring Magazine podcast, Atlas broke down the fight from both sides, starting with the size difference and how Crawford performed at 154 pounds against Israel Madrimov last year. You can make arguments on both sides. Canelo's too big and Crawford as good as he has stepped up with Madrimov and struggled a little bit. Atlas said he pointed out that people were quick to criticize Crawford after the Madrimov fight, not necessarily because Crawford performed badly, but because expectations were sky-high. What many fans overlooked, according to Atlas, was that Madrimov was simply better than most people thought. We didn't know how good Madrimov was, we underestimated him, and we started to knock down Crawford a little bit, but that's wrong, he explained.
I think Madrimov is a better fighter than Canelo as far as, you know, the dynamic and the versatility he had, but I think Canelo's pressure and ability to cut off the ring is more, and he's bigger and stronger, and I think you know, there's a risk there for Crawford, but this is why you tune in, right? Crawford keeps doing the amazing, and you want to end up saying, will he be able to do that once again against a Canelo? And crossover fans will buy into it.
This is where Atlas took a different method from most analysts. Instead of just looking at the physical advantages Canelo has, his size, his power, and his experience as super middleweight, he flipped the case and highlighted why Crawford might actually have the edge. You make a case through this about the history of the sport, where little guys have been able to beat big guys. He said, that's a key point because boxing has seen this happen before, from Sugar Ray Leonard beating Marvin Hagler to Manny Pacquiao defeating bigger men in his prime. The sport has a history of smaller, more skilled fighters finding ways to win. Atlas then broke down the exact advantages that Crawford has. You reverse who's got the edge, he said. You add the size and power of Canelo, then all of a sudden, you go back and you say, wait a minute, the other guy's faster, the other guy's craftier, the other guy has more choices, and he's slicker. Maybe he's got the benefits. It's not just about physical traits. It's about skill, fight IQ, and versatility. Atlas thinks that Crawford's ability to switch stances, control distance, and adjust mid-fight will give him a real chance to win. He even compared the fight to the biblical story of David and Goliath, saying, I always wanted to see David and Goliath live. Didn't you? Well, get ready to watch it.
Because what you would say is this, is that Terence Crawford is coming up 2-3 weight classes, something like that. And this is an advantage for Canelo. And Canelo has a lot of experience, especially at this weight class. He's, this is two, pound for pound top fighters, whoever you want to pick. It could be Canelo.
That analogy says it all. Atlas knows this will be a tough fight, but he thinks Crawford has something special. I'm one of the people that thinks Crawford is very, very special, he said. I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think Crawford is special in a different way. He's got skills that not everyone has, the timing, the X factor, the intangibles, and I think they're going to show themselves. Crawford is taking a huge risk, but many think his skill, speed, and mentality give him a real shot, while Canelo has the size and power. Crawford's adaptability and fight IQ could make the difference. If he wins, it will be one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. What do you think? Share your take below and subscribe for more information.